Give us a break! Oh, what is it? Stop! I'm for it!
Stop. Hey.
Are you
Forceful's here.
Artist, listen!
Stuff out, I hate the witch will break a window.
The following program was produced in Port Pirie, a provincial city of about 17,000 people and situated some 240 kilometres north of Adelaide in the Spencer Gulf region of South Australia. Why Port Pirie? The answer, very simply, is that the program is about the threat of vandalism, an ever-growing menace throughout all stratas of society, and this is the city that has decided to fight back. Disturbing episodes such as the one you have just seen are unfortunately becoming commonplace throughout our society. Yet, despite a high rate of arrest and conviction, this senseless destruction of both private and public property continues unabated. In this program we will examine the causes, effects and possible solutions to vandalism, which, for reasons that will become obvious, we have decided to call the silent crime. These newspaper headlines are a direct reflection of the community's concern about the silent crime. While it must be emphasised that the problem in Port Pirie is no worse than anywhere else in the state, local concern has grown to such proportions that, with the support of the local Rotary clubs, an anti-vandalism committee has been formed, representing almost all sections of the community, including high school students. The committee's task has been to mount a massive awareness campaign. And this program has been produced as part of that campaign. But why have we called it the silent crime? Perhaps we can best sum it up this way.
I know that these vandals, these young criminals and hooligans and larrikins, they work under the cover of darkness in many cases, but on other occasions somebody must see these acts of vandalism being created. And if they would come forward and let's apprehend these people, I feel we would be able to stem the problem.
It is time the people of this community realised that they cannot afford the utopia of having a police officer stationed on every street in the city. Therefore, they've got to take an interest in what is going on in the city and report acts of vandalism to the police, support their police in every way. To be fair, some people are not reporting these acts of vandalism to the police for fear of reprisals, and there is that syndrome of not wishing to be involved in anything like that. But really, people must dismiss this from their mind and act responsibly, care about the community and support their police in every way.
Obviously, people see what goes on in the city, but for some reason or other, they are reluctant to come forward and tell the authorities what they have seen. These are criminal acts, and they should, to give the authorities a fair go, they should be reported, and it can be done anonymously, but they should be reported to the authorities so that something can be done about it. This is our city. We want to keep it clean, we want to keep it nice, but while these acts of vandalism keep occurring, there's not a great deal we can do about it unless we get the public support.
And there we have the real silent crime. While the vandal carries out his or her despicable act, witnesses do nothing for fear of being involved. Or perhaps, as Mr. Cook says, they don't believe in dobbing in. But is the fear of being labelled a dobber a real problem among high school students?
No, there's the idiot that dobbed us in last night, chucking the echo through the school office.
Yeah, I reckon we should get him.
Yeah, I reckon we should have a fight now.
I reckon.
Yeah, I'll be in that.
Punch his head in a few times.
Here he comes.
Get the mongrel.
Hey, play up! Because we've got our privileges taken away. He grow up.
Right, I think it serves him right. He had no right to go and dob on his friends like that.
Yeah, it was none of his business.
No, I don't think so. I think he did the right thing.
Yeah, me
really
too.
do. By dobbing in his friends, that stops him from doing it again and causing him greater harm to the public and other places.
Not really, because if he was their friend, he wouldn't have dobbed them in, because if he was really their friend. Because they got in trouble because of it.
But don't you think they would have got in more trouble if he'd let them go and they would have done worse things?
Yeah, they wouldn't be on.
But how do you know they would have done worse things?
Because if you get away with something, if you go and bash somebody up and get away with it, you're going to come and tell everyone about it and be proud of yourself. But if you get caught out, you're going to be less likely to do it again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
But just think if your family car got scratched and the aerial got taken off and the window smashed, I mean, would you like it? Would you like to know who the person was who did it?
Yeah, Leon, you'd want to know who did it, so that you could, dob them in.
Again.
But if they're your friends, it's different.
No,
Yes.
it doesn't matter who it is. The thing is still being done, and you've got to do something about it.
You think about it, if they go and throw a bottle through somebody's window, I mean, wow, but if they're going to get more daring, they're going to get sick of throwing bottles through windows, and they're going to lead to more things that are going to cause more damage. And that's not going to only affect that person and maybe the way he lives,
but affect the whole community.
That's right, yeah.
And it's costing everybody money because to have it fixed up, it's taxpayers' money and
which comes from us and our families.
So in the long run, you're wasting your own money.
Yeah, you did the right thing, Dobbin, you mean?
Yeah. Come on.
Yeah.
A minute.
I agree.
Yeah.
But while the crimes themselves may at times go unreported, what of the criminals? Who are they and what motivates them? Psychologist George Waslack.
Well, there seems to be some disagreement amongst experts about the exact time when vandalism seems to crop up, but children as young as 10 years of age seem to be involved. There's been a great increase in the incidence of women being involved, women and girls being involved in vandalism, a doubling in the incidence of boys being involved in vandalism. One of those areas involves the breakdown of the family, marital breakdown, perhaps one parent looking after the children, this being a rather difficult situation, being able to follow the kids, being aware of what they're up to at various times. The other area has to do with unemployment. With the increase in unemployment, children having a lot of more time on their hands, perhaps more time to get involved in various difficult situations.
But whatever the causes, the simple fact is the problem is becoming more acute and the repair bills continuing to escalate. In South Australia during the year 1983-84, nearly 13,500 cases of willful damage were reported to the police, while in 1984-85 the figure had grown to almost 13,700. In 1985, damage to school property cost the taxpayer about $4 million. But if the state government and private owners alike are not immune to the ever-rising costs of the silent crime, neither is the City Council. Mayor Jones explains.
The past couple of years we've been faced with an average repair bill of $20,000 and it's not going down. If anything, it's a little on the increase at the moment. For example, to the end of March, which was the first 9 months of our current financial year, the cost to the City Council and, of course, to the ratepayers of Port Pirie was about $12,000, of which $8,000 was spent on repairs to street signs. They're always a target of attack for vandals. And a further $4,000 on general costs relating to vandalism, like ripping over trees in our parks and reserves and down at Solomon Town Beach, just general vandalism to public property. Naturally, with this sort of expenditure, our employees are required to spend much of their time in following up the damage. In the City Engineers Department, almost every day there is some work involved in sending people out to repair this damage created by vandals. Vandals is one name for them, of course. They're criminals, they're hooligans or larrikins. And while I can't put a percentage on it, it's certainly a sizable amount of time which our employees could spend elsewhere doing work around this city if they didn't have to go out repairing acts of vandalism. So there we have it. So far, the first 9 months has cost the ratepayers of this city $12,000 on vandalism, $12,000 which we could have spent on other public works.
And those public works and amenities include street signs, trees, pot plants on display in the city streets, and plate glass windows.